come once again to discuss things.
Might get...
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Mr. Laxivs.
You were so close to saying laxative, and I would have punched you.
Well, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen Horror Month. This month, we are not doing primarily reviews. In past horror months, it's just been all reviews, but we have fan film reviews, we have character discussions this month. We've already got a lot of our character discussions recorded, luckily. So we've got a lot in the bag right now, which is good. So, you know, you got a lot besides just horror movie reviews this time around. I hope you guys enjoy. Anyway, on this very first episode of Horror Movie Reviews, Steve has chosen our horror movie. What are we reviewing today?
Today, we are talking about the... I guess technically found footage. I'm not sure how you'd really classify it. Horror movie Unfriended.
Yep. Okay, so this is a movie when I saw the initial trailers and stuff for it, I was like, are you fucking serious? Why wouldn't you just turn off Skype? Instantly. That's all why would you just turn off your computer?
We won't get into the computer stuff, because there is some really dumb stuff when it comes to computers.
Yeah. But after I have watched this, I'm not gonna say it's a good movie by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh god, no.
I will say it is a more interesting premise than I was initially giving it credit for.
Yeah.
But I do not think it works as a movie. What I think this needs to be is like a pioneering form of performance art online, where you could go, or they'd have scheduled things of when this was gonna happen, and you could go and just spectate on it, and you could either watch the call all the way through, or you could go through and read the articles while they're talking or anything, and you could just be there, not interacting, but just being a member of an audience watching it, and get to choose what part of it has your attention when. As opposed to the way that they do it, which doesn't really make sense for anyone that has ever used Skype. Because this podcast is recorded on Skype, and guess what, Steve? I don't have the window of Skype open right now as I talk to you, and yet I can hear everything that's going on with you. Right now I'm looking at my audio recording software as we talk about this and record a conversation. And that's not how Skype works in this movie.
I would also like to point out that I'm scrolling through Facebook right now, and every time a new message pop-ups, my old ones don't disappear.
Yeah, that's another weird one. They're really inconsistent about that.
Yeah, it's bizarre as fuck.
Yeah, so all that stuff, it's okay, fine, that might be nitpicky, but I feel like you're losing the immersion when you don't keep those details, because guess what? People use social media every day. We all know how these programs function. You're not allowed to change the rules of them unless you give yourself, a fictional social network.
Well, see, this is the biggest problem with the movie, at least for me, which is the fear is rooted in internet culture. And it fundamentally either doesn't understand it, does it badly, or doesn't immerse itself enough in it. So, for example, when we have that whole Facebook page pull up and the messages keep disappearing, it bothers me because I know how these messages would work, and given the way this person is scrolling through the internet, they'd be the type to go back and read messages and shit. But then on top of that, there's just a basic of kind of how you interact with your computer that everyone has a kind of shorthand for, that when you aren't doing it, it drives you crazy. It's another thing where Blair didn't know what a troll was, and this is 2015 when this movie came out. Fuck, how do you not know what a troll is?
Yeah, Yeah.
Like this is if this movie's trying to hold your hand for people that don't know how computer culture works, then that audience shouldn't be watching this movie. And for the people that do know how computer culture works, it's not how it works.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree with that. That being said, there are other tiny details that are like really consistent, and I'd argue probably more important through this that I quite like.
Sure.
Like I like that the video keeps like changing in quality.
Yeah.
You and I both had Skype calls with Cap. We know all about this.
Oh god, yes.
And then the other, like, another really subtle detail that I quite liked is, like, when the fat guy, has the camera that's behind him, and he's, like, noticing it and going to discover it, I really like that you get two angles of it. You get the camera that he's trying to find, and you get the camera that he's been talking to the whole movie to that point. And, like, they're not in sync. I really, really like that detail.
Yeah, no, that's true. I really enjoy that. All the sound effects and look of everything's on point. Like, it looks like Facebook, it looks like Skype, it sounds like Skype, it looks like a Mac interface. Like, it, for the most part, when it's not trying to hold your hand, and I watched this on my laptop, which is a really bizarre meta experience, because at times I would look to the corner of the screen to check the time, and it would be the screen of the movie, so it wasn't the actual time.
Yeah.
And they kept that consistent too. Like, that clock goes through a full hour and a half.
That's good. And, this is a kind of impressive on just an animation thing. Because, like, when the Skype counter... when the Skype account for Billy is going through and doing countdowns, it's not an actual second. It is however long it would take you to type 1, enter, 2, enter. It's funny. The way I record this podcast now is through speaker recording. So, Steve, what I'm going to have you do, just to demonstrate that, is give me a 10-9-8. Give me a 10-1 countdown just in the instant message thing through Skype right now.
Okay, give you a 10-1 countdown, just like in the movie.
Yep. Yeah, and, I fucked that up a little bit because I had the window open, of course, but, like, you could hear it on my laptop, which is turned on in the other room because I'm an American and I waste electricity. And so, like, you got, it's not, like, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not as fast or as slow as a clock. It is as fast as a person could reasonably type that. And that's really a cool detail, and it just makes it feel more immersive. Funny story, while I was watching this, Deadpoolzilla messaged me at one point, and we thought it was just another sound effect in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's good about that. Again, especially on a computer. I could see going to the theater and not getting this movie, but, like, this is the kind of thing you'd almost want to be released as as like a video on demand kind of thing.
See, I think it, like, initially got off the ground as, like, a independent film from what I heard about it, and then it got a theatrical release.
Which, I mean, I'm cool with that. This is not the kind of thing that I would want to take to the theater. There are movies that are enhanced by a theater experience, like Quentin Tarantino stuff. This is not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that completely. The only level at which this, like, really, really gets scary is on a computer. And that's why, again, I don't think it should be a movie. I feel like this should be, like, a live show that is done on, like, its own independent website once a week or whatever, where however many people that want to can show up and just be, like, aware of it. Like, it just takes over, you put it on full screen, and you're still able to control what window you have open, though.
Yeah,
like,
social
you're not able to,
kind of.
Yeah, like, you're not able to interact with anyone. You're not able to stop any of the story from happening. It would play out live like a play every week, but you just have to. But you're allowed to determine, okay, what's up on my screen at any given time.
Yeah.
Like, you would be basically the one in control of Blair's computer. And so when, Lauren's messaging her or whatever, you'd be in control of what you're seeing on her screen.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, like, this does a weird thing that movies have not done in fucking decades, which is ask you to actually read what's on the screen as opposed to having someone read it for you.
Oh, thank God, yeah. That the whole notion of people interacting with screens has made a lot of the whole how do you film that thing difficult, and you had to do it more and more in innovative ways. Sherlock does it really well when people get text messages, they pop up on screen as like text bubbles and speech bubbles and shit like that.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, no, that is easily the best way to do it. In this, because it wants to immerse you as like it's an actual computer screen, you have to look, you have to read. They even move the arrow cursor so that you're reading the lines as the arrow is moving.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. I dig that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you watch, like, an old comedy bit, like, I remember a lot of episodes of Three Stooges do this, where, like, they get a letter in the mail, and they put the camera on the letter and give you enough time to basically read it. And that's just not how we shoot text on film anymore.
Yeah.
You know, 9 times out of 10, someone just reads the text message out loud or whatever. Which is fine. I mean, I do that on occasion when I'm with somebody. But it's just, this wants you to do a lot of reading, and I want to read other things that they don't really want me to read. Like, I want to read people's comments on Val's Instagram. I want to read Blair's, you know, the website Blair's looking at about how ghost possession through the internet works. That's the section that I want to be spending time on, as opposed to, like, certain aspects of this, because...
Or, like, if I had control of all their Facebook pages, looking at, like, the friendship relationship between Lauren and everyone else, and having that feed into why they're dying.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fascinating, because that, when we see that at the end, that doesn't have the weight I think it ought to.
How do you mean?
In the sense that, like, we see that they all, in some way, contributed to her killing herself, but we don't see enough of, like, you see in the short interaction between Jess and Val why they don't like each other just from them talking to each other. But, like, I don't know how any of them fit into the context with Lauren except for Blair.
Yeah.
And I would have liked more of that, or at the very least, I would have liked her to more consistently stick up for her, or at least give the hint that they used to be much closer than they are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, like, cyberbullying is a really interesting topic to discuss, and I think it is ripe for a horror movie. You know, it's modern day Carrie, which, you know, the remake of Carrie wasn't. But, like, on some level, this takes it, I think, just a little too much of an exaggeration.
Oh, dude, these kids are psychopaths. Like, all of them are fucking psychopaths.
Like, do people on the internet say just fucking kill yourself? Yes, all the time. It's disgusting. That they all make fake accounts, and all of her friends were joking around telling her to kill herself?
Okay, just for the sake of, like, explaining how much all of these people have done, I'm gonna read the very short Wikipedia burst of them playing Never Have I Ever, which is basically just them going through all the shitty things they've done. So, okay. All 4 classmates are forced to reveal large personal secrets which put their relations with each other on the rocks. Jess spread a rumor that Blair had an eating disorder. Blair crashed Jess's mother's car while drunk. Mitch reported Adam to the police for selling marijuana, which also got Adam disowned by his father. Mitch also reveals that he kissed Laura behind Blair's back shortly before her suicide. Although she initiated, he rejected her advances. Jess stole $800 from Adam. Adam himself offered to trade Jess's life for his own. Adam finally loses his temper and uses the game to force Blair to reveal that she is no longer a virgin, having had sex with him twice behind Mitch's back. Respond by uploading a video of them having sex. Mitch retaliates by forcing Adam to admit that he gave a fellow classmate rubies at a party, date raped her, and when she was unconscious, and then forced her to get an abortion later. Like, the fuck? No one's life is this eventful.
I certainly would hope not, right?
This is not stuff you have all accomplished by fucking 16.
Yeah, I thought that was like, just, it takes it to too much of an exaggeration. Again, like, they're all making fake accounts to tell their friend to kill herself as a joke?
No.
Really?
God, no.
Like, you know for a fact that this girl is telling them how embarrassed and how hurt she is that someone would post this video of her. And yet they're all egging her on behind her back? Really?
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah, it's just too much. Like, I like the premise of they're all shitty friends in different ways. I like that premise, but this takes it just to like way past suspension of disbelief. And I know we're talking about a movie where someone gets possessed through a computer and kills themselves. I get that it's a little ridiculous to begin with, but like, you know, there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief, and I can do that part because that's the premise of the movie. Whereas everything else is just it's too much.
And I mean, this is one of those things where like, I want this movie to exist. I just want this movie to exist as a better version of itself. And this is a thing that, at least so far, we still haven't gotten right. The most natural extension of this that we have now that's getting more praise and is generally considered a good thing, but it's still hyper problematic the more you talk about it, is 13 Reasons Why, which is a really similar thing about a girl killing herself and having a bunch of shitty friends and that revealing the secrets about them and shit. But like, we need serious conversation about the fact that if someone says something to you on the internet, it's not something that we as a society should say, well, just ignore them. Like, we need to get to that place where, yes, when someone bullies you online, it is a legit form of abuse that you can have feelings about. And we try to do that in movies all the time. There's a bunch of Disney movies about it. There's 13 Reasons Why. And all of it has the best of intentions, and none of it seems to ever quite work. Mm-hmm. And that's really a shame, because I want this to work. I want this horror movie, which has got a really interesting metaphor at the heart of it with the Skype conversation and everything, to work. And it tries too much. It makes all of the kids fucking psychopaths. It doesn't give me a sense of what any of their real friendships are, to the extent where I can understand why they're shitty or feel bad for the people that got shat on. Like, I still don't know who Laura really is, except for the girl that got bullied into killing herself.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's just like, I do believe that they're all friends. Like, I will say the actors did a reasonably good job. I think the girl that played Jess, maybe it's just the way, you know, we talk about framing and the way this is all, like, set up as a Skype call. Maybe it's just the way she's framed that her acting doesn't quite look good in this, like, little tiny window. But, like, there's that whole section where they're all yelling at each other, playing Never Have I Ever, and she's, like, crying and sobbing. But just the expression on her face is like a big... It looks like a big grin because of how, like, small she is.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, I know for a fact that the actress isn't laughing through that scene. I know that she is sobbing, because when we do hear her, it's through sobs. But just, you know, like, she's small, she's got, like... like, her mouth's wide open as she's heaving and sobbing... But just because of the natural way that looks in a smaller window, it looks like she's grinning. And so that's, you know, there's a couple things here and there where I think the acting could have probably used a better take or two. But reasonably, I think that the actors play off of each other fairly well. Like,
I like Adam's actor a lot. I think he's really good.
Yeah, and what's his name? Van? The big guy?
Ken.
Like, I like the interaction between Ken and Jess when Val's about to come into the call.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that... I've been in that room, you know, where, like, someone's about to be... or about to come in, and two people are just going, oh, fuck this guy. Yeah, this guy's a real asshole. And then you just walk in the room and they're like, sup.
Yeah.
Like,
we've all had that Skype call.
Yeah, and it's not even Skype, it's just, like, real life. I've had that interaction. And,
for sure.
Like, you fucking two-faced bastard. What do you say about me when I leave the room? Shit. But, like...
We all do it.
Yeah, like, that was, like, a really good interaction. So I feel like the acting does a really, really solid job. But even then, some of the scenarios just get maybe a little too much. Like, how'd you feel about the scene with the printouts?
Um, Acting wise, like you mentioned with the whole interaction thing. Doing a printout's a bit too far for a movie like this because the printout's not a thing you can interact with on anywhere near the same level as, like, say, a messenger. Um, but the printout scene, particularly when it comes to like her trying to talk her boyfriend down, I think works really well.
Like, I think Blair's good in the scene. I think Mitch is it's just too much. Like,
Well, I think he's the worst actor in the set.
okay.
I think he, like, from the start, he is just awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, their whole kind of like Skype sex thing is just the most cringe-worthy thing, I think, on his part more so than her part.
Yeah. Oh, I like that came back later during, like, the pop-up ad about, like, the
Yeah.
sex chats, and you just saw the video from the beginning of the movie. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, she's already ruined this girl's life.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the interactions were pretty genuine, but I'd agree that Mitch seems to be probably the weaker. Like, it's between Mitch or Adam for me. Adam's just like, I don't know if it's Adam's acting or if it's the situations they put him in. Like,
The drunk kind of asshole.
no, the fact that he gets a gun to threaten someone he's talking to on, like, Skype.
To be fair, though, this is a thing that happens. That is the way they characterize that dude is totally the reaction he would have, I think.
You think? I don't know. Like,
I know those people. I know those people that are like, I'm on the internet and I'm waving a gun around and I know what's up kind of guy.
maybe, but it's just I feel like he legitimately thinks he can shoot his computer and that will kill the person. Is the way that scene plays, because he's like, here's what I got for you. Here's what I got for you, motherfucker. And I'm just like, wait, it's a Skype call. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. There's just stuff like that where I'm like, I'm not sure if it's the acting or if it's the scenario that kind of gets me. Like, I think the worst actress in the entire thing is the girl that she's able to contact through chat roulette. Which,
oh yeah,
let me tell you, there are no women on chat roulette. There just aren't. Just stop with that immediate bullshit.
That whole scene was just really weird.
I did not understand that at all. That made no sense to me.
Why would that be your first option, honestly?
Like, why would anything with your computer be your thought process?
Well, see, this is the other thing about this movie is that, like, conceptually it's a cool idea that reasonable people would not engage with for more than, say, 10, 15 minutes. By the time you figured out this was real shit, you would be on your phone meeting up, you know?
Either, like, I mean, you know, my reaction when I first saw the trailer was, okay, why don't you just fucking turn off your computer? And I do feel they give a reason as to why that is not an option here.
I mean, they give you the vague threat of hang up and you'll die, and I admit that gets them closer, but, like, so the way you need to do this, I think, is you need to write the story in such a way where you need to explain away the things normal people would do, which is, A, why can't they leave their house with their laptops? B, why can't they switch to Skype Mobile? C, why can't they hang up? D, why can't they like have separate group chats? Can the thing be in two chats at once? Like, there are ways around this that you have to create contrivances to get out of, and they do that some of the time, and then not so much the other time. Like, apparently Jess doesn't know where her phone is, and who the fuck doesn't know where their phone is? Who's on their laptop and doesn't know where their phone is?
I'm gonna go with me.
Are you serious?
I honestly do not know where my phone... Like, I have a vague idea that my phone's probably in the other room.
To be fair, if you're 17 and on your laptop, would you know where your phone is?
Probably.
Yeah.
No, like, that's all fair. I don't know, there's stuff where I'm like, okay, but even all that, why wouldn't you just, like, be... Okay, here's the thing. If I pick up my phone right now, and I dial 911, and I do not answer and talk to the people, and I just let it sit there, and the 911 operator hears me screaming and crying, guess what? a cop is showing up to my house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a feeling they're going to be able to prevent me from killing myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just... There's just, like, certain leaps in logic that it wants you... Like, it's too many. You know, the gimme counter from Batman v Superman, right? It's too many gimmies.
I am proud of that joke.
Oh, it's the best. It's too much where you just have to keep giving it. I'm like, no, it breaks down. It just breaks down too much.
And again, it's framed with a person using their laptop. And as people that spend most of their free time on laptops, if not all of their free time on laptops, you just kind of know at what point you'd be doing things, and they don't ever do that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much of just, like, the way you're shifting through tabs and the kind of, like, emergency shorthand. Like, at least for me, I've been in situations where something extremely dramatic or tragic is happening while I am talking to someone on Skype or, like, on my laptop on Messenger or something. And, like, I know what sifting through those tabs looks like. Or, like, I'm having a conversation with multiple people while messaging someone else privately during the conversation. Like she does with her boyfriend. Like, I know what these things look like, and they never quite look natural to me.
That, and I'm just wondering, what the fuck Messenger is she using with her boyfriend?
Yeah, I have no fucking idea. I wish I knew. That's definitely not the iMessenger that I've seen on actual Macs.
Yeah, and it's not like she's messaging through independent Skype.
No, it's clearly
It's a completely different program. And I'm like, well, and it's not Facebook. It's a completely different thing. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Also, I don't know if that's really Mitch that she's messaging with the whole time.
No, he's weirdly, bizarrely scary sometimes.
Yeah. That's weird.
There's also bits where, like, it'll have two separate Skype messages happen at the same time where, like, there will be a Skype message that's like a snarky remark while the Skype messages of the countdown are still going on the screen.
Uh-huh.
There's just so much
of
like
these... one point it's like it's like one of the Never Have I Ever, and Adam says, "Oh, why's the counter still going?" And it's like a question mark, and then it's like 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really this is the kind of thing where, like, it feels like it's nitpicking, but then it's also like the
entire premise is that it's on a computer. You have to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, no, it breaks down when, like, I don't feel like it's an authentic computer thing. And when it's authentic, it's great. It's just when it's not, that's the problem. I think the opening sex Skype call thing is really cringeworthy. When all the friends get together and they start discovering that they're being haunted, the movie's great. And then after the actual Never Have I Ever stuff starts, it goes completely downhill.
I don't know. I like the tension in the Never Have I Ever, but I will.
I like it until they become fucking psychopaths. I'll say that then.
Yeah, I'd say the scenarios that they're put in is ridiculous, but, like, I think my problem with the Never Have I Ever is, like, they're all doing this because they are legitimately afraid for their lives right now.
Yeah.
Why would they be getting into pissing contests?
Honestly, yeah. Like, why are they trying to get back at each other while this is happening?
Yeah, it's like, again, it's just another bridge too far. I'm like, I can buy that you could scare kids into a situation where they'd be willing to admit their deepest, darkest secrets kind of thing. Fine. What I cannot buy is that they could be that fucking scared and still be petty enough to be arguing about who had sex with who.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to the whole, like, internet culture and abuse is a thing. And the more you try to make that look like exaggerated melodrama, the less helpful you're being in that discourse.
Mm-hmm. And see, it's weird, because, like, you had, I could tell just from, like, your tweet about this movie earlier tonight, you clearly did not like this movie.
No, I mean, I don't hate it. That's for sure. I don't know what it is, you know?
And see, for me, like, I knew in my head going into it, I was not going to like it. But once I watched it, I was like, you know, I was reasonably impressed with a lot of this.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's all really surface stuff, and the more you talk about it, the more it breaks down.
Well, and I mean, I think as far as shitty horror movies go, this is nowhere near that bad as anyone could expect. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as the same sort of premise they just recently remade. I forget what that movie's called, but like, there are lots of shitty teen movies that are like this in the horror genre, and this is certainly one of the better ones. It's just a matter of like, it's still got a lot of problems, and I feel the need to be almost harsher on it in some places
because of the subject matter.
Yeah, because of the subject matter, and because I know it's capable of being brilliant. Like, I think you could remake this as a legit brilliant movie.
Mm-hmm. And like, they got the sequel coming out this year, don't they?
I don't know if it's coming out this year, but I know there's a sequel.
Yeah, I know Unfriended 2. Like, I remember seeing a trailer for it when I went to go see it.
Oh shit! Okay, so I guess it is this year.
Yeah, let me just real quick out of Unfriended 2.
Is this on Netflix? Fuck.
Oh, wait. Unfriended isn't on Netflix? I don't know.
I just scrolled through the wiki and it says it was received a Netflix release in May 2017. I'm like, well, shit. I guess I didn't have to go out of my way to find it then. Oh, well.
I don't know when it's being released, but Unfriended 2 is in filming or is coming out. There's a trailer for it, so it can't be too far away.
Okay, well, I mean, that's interesting. I'd want to see more of this in the same way that, like, 13 Reasons Why is getting a second season. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, not because what I saw initially gives me, like, any sort of hope, but more because I want people to keep trying on this.
Yeah, this is touchy subject matter, and I was really curious how you'd feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, like, particularly from being on, like, being part of internet culture and Skyping with people and stuff like this for going on, like, 10 years now. It's been like 10 years. Like, seeing this evolve from a really cool way to reach out to people to being its own cultural microcosm, it gives me a weird perspective where I'm like, this is commonplace, but when you get out in the quote-unquote real world, we don't act like it's commonplace. And I want movies like this to bridge that gap more, and they never quite do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't like the fact that that if I go to, like, a fucking grocery store and talk about my friend on Skype, it sounds like it's a weird thing. It shouldn't be. Everyone's got this at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, when I talk about conversations you and I've had at work, I'm just like, yeah, my friend Steve. I don't even mention that you live in another fucking state.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I have 4 best friends in my life. You are one of them. And it doesn't matter that you live in another state. I feel like that should be a normalized thing.
Internet hug, Steve. Internet hug.
There you go.
Okay. No, it totally is. It's that weird thing. And so it makes the idea of doing this really, really solid in my book. It seems totally believable. How did you feel about the very, very end?
You mean
with the computer getting slammed shut?
Okay, I think just as an image, that's the coolest thing you could have done to end this movie.
I really didn't like that.
Okay, that's fair.
For multiple reasons.
Sure. I think just as a shock value thing of, like, this computer getting slammed and the movie's over is a cool idea. I think, for one, it bothers me that Blair gets to die at the end, because I feel like the point with releasing that video and seeing the comments is that she has to live with it now, and clearly she doesn't.
Yep.
That's my big issue with it. The other thing is that, like, this is a movie where you never see the monster, and then you do at the end, and that bothers me, because I feel like the monster's supposed to be the personality created by the anonymity of the internet, as opposed to anything physically relatable. And so that's kind of destroyed by having that monster there at all. And then the scream at the end just makes it like a really lackluster generic horror movie.
There's, all that. And then there's just the fact of slamming the computer shut. We have not been watching this through Claire's perspective.
Yeah.
We've been watching it through Claire's screen the entire time.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, we are the killer, the monster, whatever. We are getting their view of Claire's screen the entire movie. And so changing it to the idea that we've been watching it through Claire's eyeballs is obviously wrong, because we've seen Claire get up and leave time and time again. And it's not like it's the laptop camera that we've been watching it all through or anything like that. No, it's clearly been through her screen. Then, again, like you said, her dying and everything, when the whole point of releasing the video and she was the one that shot it should have been that Blair, was the one that started this whole thing, and now she would have to live with it, or maybe she would kill herself now without the spirit doing it to her. And then there's just like this is so nitpicky, but it is something that legit bothers the crap out of me. The pair of hands that we see slam that computer shut do not look like they belong to the same face that the monster girl has at the end. The hands look like they belong to like a big ass dude.
I didn't even think of that. I barely caught a glimpse of them.
Just like from the little we get, like they just look like really muscular arms. I was not ready for that. It was like I was like, wait, is her dad back? I know that's really nitpicky, but I legit was bothered by that. Like it's so much of that scene just does not work for me. I really don't like the ending.
Yeah, no, the ending is very much structurally opposed to what the movie's about. It's just a matter of like, you could have made a movie that makes that ending a lot cooler. It's just not this movie. And then this movie has a very particular ending that it never gets to cash in on. Like, I feel like the if you cut this movie off when the comments start flowing about Blair needing to kill herself, you have not a good movie, but a solid movie. Not even a solid movie, but you have at least a thematically clear movie that's made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the weird thing about it, is that like I think there's a lot of, they knew what they were doing. They just couldn't do it very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a rare thing with bad movies.
Mm-hmm. And there's other stuff like that I find really interesting. Like, I love that the spirit makes them kill themselves.
Yep. Yeah.
That is really, really... It's not like they just, start screaming and die or like their skin boils. It's not supernatural deaths outside of the fact that something else is compelling them to kill themselves.
Well, and as part of the metaphor, it's sort of problematic, and you'd have to do more work with this in that the person telling them to kill themselves is a victim of cyberbullying. But literally having someone on the internet say, kill yourself, and then you do, is a really cool idea. Mm-hmm. Like, literalizing that to its furthest extent. I like that a lot.
My one big one that, like, really irked the shit out of me is Val, because I have no idea how she died.
She just drank bleach and, I guess, sat there?
Yeah, but that's not how drinking bleach works, though.
That's fair. I've never actually looked into that, so...
Well, no, like, okay, so if you were to drink bleach, you would not be able to finish it because it will immediately chemical burn the back of your throat.
Oh,
you will not be able to get it down. If she was supernaturally compelled to do it, she would not be able to sit there at all without, like, writhing in pain. Because it would literally be burning your entire, like, your internal organs. It'd be burning your throat, your lungs, your stomach, all that stuff.
I guess to be fair, because I love when Wikipedia does this, where like they're trying to summarize a movie, but in doing so, they literally make up an interpretation that might not be true. So the Wikipedia says the 5 classmates soon learn that Val is dead, presumably from drinking the bleach. Mm-hmm. So I don't actually know then.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe that's the implication the movie wanted to get across. Because, here's an ugly subject. People do try to commit suicide like this.
Sure.
People do try to drink bleach to kill themselves. And most of them just end up in the ER with their throats burnt. So, all things considered, I don't want people to kill themselves. I don't want people to try to kill themselves. That's probably the best method because it has the least long-lasting impacts. Because you're more than likely to fail, and there's some recovery after that point. But anyway, so just it's like they didn't do the research on that, and then there's just the fact that we don't see it happen.
Yeah.
That she's just staring at the camera. Like, it's weird because I thought she was frozen or something, or we were going to see her start to drink the bleach or something like that. And we don't. She's just staring at the camera, and then the laptop falls over. And I thought that was really weird.
Yeah, and particularly because as the movie goes on, they're less and less afraid of cutting to the people actually starting to kill themselves. So, like, it's weird that she's the odd one out in that.
I also don't like that we cut in and out of the people dying. I think...
That's a shock value thing.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it's a budget thing or something, but I feel like, you could do your cuts the same way you've been doing your, like, video lag effect throughout the entire movie anyway. You could cut your footage together like that and not have the problem. The having the video cut in and out, it loses some of the oomph that this movie has. Like, I start to buy their reactions a little bit less every time because, like, I don't know, like, seeing glimpses of them kill themselves is very different than the actual act of seeing them murder themselves, like, step by step.
I agree with that. And I think some of it also goes to the kind of setups they all have for their Skype are too uniform and neat, where, like, if you didn't want to show all of it, it's very easy to say, well, this person's got a webcam, and so attempting to kill themselves shakes up that camera, and you don't see all of it by very intentional design. Or one of them's literally on their phone, and they have to put it down to use both hands to do something, Mm-hmm. Like, there are ways around this to show just enough without doing the cutting, as if you didn't want to show all of it. But as it stands, it may have been better to just show all of it.
Yeah, I tend to agree, because, like, I don't feel like it's the effects that are the problem. Like,
no, I don't think so.
What is it, hair curler or whatever, curling iron.
The curling iron in her mouth?
Yeah, like, that's the one we get the most of. That's really fucking gruesome, and, like, I don't feel you need to cut any of that out. The same with the guy that, like, sticks his arm in the blender.
In the sense that Adam shooting himself in the face is a really short moment.
Yeah. Like, the dude puts his arm in the blender. I'm like, that was a really good effect. I don't know why they felt the need to cut any of that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, I guess part of it must have been there to, like, blend the effects together.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like you could do that with your whole video lag thing. I don't know. It's weird.
Do you feel like the deaths start to pile up a lot by the end, and we don't get to live with any of them reeling with each individual death enough?
Yeah.
Because
I would say so.
A lot of horror movies tend to do this. The new It does this, and you and I have talked about this, where, like, at some point, a lot of stuff just starts happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I prefer that to... we're gonna just build suspense for 90% of the movie and then give you, like, 5 deaths right at the end.
Yeah.
I really don't like that approach to horror a lot of the times, and this does a better job of spreading them out a little more, but yeah, they do start to rack up really quick, and I'm like, no, I feel like part of what makes this scary is the fact that they're seeing this happen to themselves.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the webcam appearing in the guy's, like, room?
I kind of want an explanation for that. That's the weird thing, where, like, clearly this is a supernatural thing, but it's really weirdly selectively supernatural, where I can sort of think about supernatural force turning off the lights, because that's almost a cliche at this point, but supernatural force creating a webcam is a weirder thing,
There's that, and then there's just, like, it's so weird because he's fine as he's looking for the webcam.
Yeah.
Then when he finds the webcam, he just goes blank, and that was strange.
Yeah, it's kind of... and it seems like no time passes for anyone except him when he comes back on.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird one for me, where I was just like, why would he... Why is it the process of finding the webcam, the thing, like, looking at the webcam, that sends him over the edge? Why isn't it just that there's a webcam there? Like, or why is there even a webcam there if it's just like, okay, you tried to antivirus software me out, so now you have to die. I'm like, okay, well, why do we need the webcam there? It's like almost there entirely for the audience, just to be another creep factor. But like again, it's one of those things where the more you think about it, the less sense it makes.
Yeah, I mean, and him in particular, I feel like that character Ken sort of had like the least development and least, because he's not even there for the Never Have I Ever game.
Mm-hmm.
So like his purpose seems almost entirely to it's like that thing. It's like the guy from Suicide Squad, where like he's here because he has to be the one to die to show you the premise is going to work now.
And that's weird because Val's already dead by that point.
Yeah, and she's not part of this either, but at least we get conversation about the group's relationship to her.
Mm-hmm.
Ken is just kind of there and dies.
Yeah, and like he's supposed to be the tech guy and all this stuff, and you know what's weird is like, okay, so at one point Claire gets that email to Val's Instagram account, and like Adam keeps telling her to forward it to Ken, and she's like, no, there's no forward button. And Adam just starts going like, oh my god, do you know how to use your fucking computer? I'm like, dude, you've already been the one trying to drop this like account from the Skype call the whole time.
Yeah.
Why is this the point at which you go, oh, this person like doesn't know how to use their computer?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, the idea of removing a button, dude, you have no idea how much that would fuck with me.
Yeah.
If there's just a button gone, oh god, that would fuck with my life so hard.
Well, see, and that's the thing, right? Like, the computer shorthand, you don't have to like dwell on the fact that like that she can't find the button. You just have to kind of go of like, you do almost the kind of like second nature autopilot takes over, and it's not working. Like there's a kind of experience to how you go slide through those pages, particularly when things don't work the way you want them to, that just kind of isn't there.
Mm-hmm. But at the other point, at the other end of the spectrum, there are moments that I really, really like, particularly with the use of the computer. Like, I love that I've had this experience. I love that every time she tries to close the YouTube window, another window opens that's playing the video.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh my god, that was so... And then, like, at a certain point when there are so many of them, her computer just, like, freezes and can't process it anymore.
Yeah.
That was really solid to me.
And they do it all from a very specifically Mac perspective. Like, they clearly know how a Mac works, and they could have gone the easy route and just done a Windows and not have to worry about any of the little touches, like the way the loading screen looks different on a Mac and the way the sidebar looks different on a Mac. They kind of go all in there.
Yeah, and I don't use Macs, so I don't
either.
That
I
was
don't like
lost
them.
on me. Yeah, fuck Macs.
No. Apple's an awful company, but like I know enough about them to recognize when they're doing it right.
Gotcha. A lot of that was lost on me though, because I've only used Macs for like schoolwork before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was just there are some things that are universal because obviously cross-platform programs and stuff like that. So I was recently impressed with a lot of the with a fair amount of the computer stuff. Like, I even though my Skype doesn't work like this, I was willing to believe that there is a version of Skype out there that when someone posts a message in a group chat, it appears, independent of anyone clicking it.
Yeah.
That seemed viable to me.
Yeah,
or
sure.
if not, it should be. So I don't know. There's a lot about this that, again, varying levels of success here.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we don't want to like necessarily quote unquote nitpick the computer effect stuff. I will say one last thing about that though is sometimes the way that she's moving around the windows just creates a weird amalgam of multiple windows that would never exist. Where like the Skype conversation's on the bottom, and then her messenger with her boyfriend's on the side, then the preview video is on the other side, and then the internet's still open in the middle. Like, it just stops looking like she's floating through screens and looks like a weird omniscient custom screen. Mm-hmm. And that kind of took me out in places where I'm like, wait a second, which tab is open right now?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, that's just not a thing that exists. Like, it should have been just multiple small windows, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to do that for the sake of framing it.
Yeah.
And again, this is why I don't think this should be a movie. This should be like, if not a like live play, like you record the actors once, and you have the messages appear only when they're gonna appear once, and you could just go and start this journey at any time. It's just you want to be in control of this to some degree, is my thing.
And I don't know if there's such a thing as PC exclusive video games, but if there should be one, it's this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine just loading up the game and it gives you a simulated computer and you're doing all of this.
Yeah, and like you wouldn't be affecting anything, you would just be able to experience it. It'd be a very passive video game experience, but like it'd is
be a
that
Telltale
middle
game, honestly.
Yeah, God, yeah. It'd be that middle ground between video game and movie, and that's what I think this could or should be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the experience part is big on this. There wouldn't be a reason to frame it as a Skype call the way they do if they didn't want to appeal to the experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the tricky thing of like, you want to do this, but you want to do this as a movie, and doing it as a movie just inherently adds an extra layer of distance that you tried to compensate for with the Skype call, and it's just not quite mixing. Again, you may have had better luck if you released this as like a series of YouTube videos or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or maybe even like if this was
because this
Facebook
is a real
game.
creepypasta, right?
Yeah. There are ways to do this. It's extremely experimental, and I'm kind of I will give them enough slack to say that like this is a hard thing to make, and despite it being a bad movie, at least it knows what kind of movie it wanted to be.
Yeah, it definitely had a goal in mind, and it's better than I was willing to give it credit for.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the
first heard
shit
of it.
show that you would want it to be.
Yeah, because like you hadn't watched it when you picked it, right?
Nope, I just knew it by reputation of, this is the movie where Skype kills you.
Yeah, and like so it's funny. I'll probably post if I can get a decent screen grab. I'll probably post our Twitter conversation right now through direct message where you picked this. It's like, you're just like, Unfriended, smiley face, cry face, cry face. I'm like, fuck you, Steve. Because seriously, like this so has the potential to just be fucking walk away from your computer. Jesus fucking Christ! Like the joke could have been about this movie, a movie where the true horror is the youth don't realize they can turn off their phone.
Yeah, honestly though, that's, if nothing else, my favorite thing about this movie is that none of the jokes apply after seeing it.
Yeah, that is reasonably impressive. It knows that it could have been really silly, and it goes to decent lengths to make sure that you can't joke about it in the way that you think you can.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll say this is not a movie I will make fun of the way I do with other bad movies. Like, I kind of have a respect for it, even if it's not good.
Yeah, I feel like this was an interesting experiment before it was a bad film, you know?
Yep. I agree. I'm kind of glad we're getting a sequel. I hope it's good.
Yeah, it makes me kind of want to watch it. I'm a little on the fence.
I mean, I think I'm definitely going to see it whenever it comes out, just because I'm too damn curious now. Like, you tried it once, try it again, see what happens.
And part of that's, like, just whether or not they can improve the experience, right? Like, so often horror sequels just are such a cash grab and end up being worse. With very few exceptions, do horror sequels get better?
Yeah, honestly, though.
So yeah, I see where you're coming from there. Now this one was billed as a found footage movie. Do you feel it qualifies?
That was the thing I was kind of wondering about when I introduced it. Like, I guess it's technically a found footage movie in the sense that you're looking at everything through novice camera footage that isn't narratively connected, but has a false narrative through it, which is kind of found footage. But it's not like Chronicle. It's not like Blair Witch. It's not like Paranormal Activity. it's weird because the footage is not separated, but it's separated by virtue of the internet cutting streams in and out.
Yeah, and I still think the weirdest thing is, like, the Skype call going quiet.
Yeah. I don't like that choice. I wish there were still background noise. I also don't like the fact that she just randomly plays music.
Well, she only does that at the very beginning, and then otherwise it's the spirit taking over, and I kind of like those moments. Like, one of my favorite things in this is, like, when the thing fucks with her computer screen.
No,
like
see,
when she tries to report the account, and, like, it just turns into, I got her, I got her, I got her, I got her.
Yeah. No, I like that stuff. I like when the ghost is playing, like, ironic music. I just don't think, as a person that's talking to their friends on Skype, they would randomly, like, go through their music and start playing something. That seems dumb. And it seems forced to kind of have a score to this movie when it usually doesn't have one.
I don't know, like, to me, it's only toward the very beginning that she's choosing to play music. It's only those first, like, 2-3 scenes.
Yeah.
Or not, there's no scenes in this movie. It's only the first 10 to 15 minutes where she is choosing to play music. One is, like, a mood thing as she's about to talk to her boyfriend and you know, cyber. And that's believable to me.
Sure, I can go with that.
And then as she's talking to her friends, like, she seems like she's not really all that involved in the conversation anyway, even before all this shit starts up, and she starts doing all her research. So I can believe that she'd, like, put that on as additional background noise.
Yeah,
to some
that's
degree.
fair.
That didn't bother me as much. I don't know, Steve, where else can we go for next, I don't know, 10 minutes or so?
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention about this is it's one of those movies where it's gonna be dated no matter what they do, and it's gonna be dated no matter how good or bad you make the experience. Mm-hmm. And they do a pretty... They released it, luckily, in a year where most of the cosmetic updates to things like Skype and Facebook were pretty much done. So it doesn't feel dated right now. But it totally will, like, say, a couple years from now. It'll feel dated when Facebook isn't a thing anymore. It's one of those things that exists so purely in the culture right now that any of the critiques we have that are like more that are more like experience based in we know what this is like because we're living it, I feel like maybe almost stop being relevant, like, say, 10 years from now when no one has a frame of reference for that anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, I was surprised that they were using actual social media things.
That was my thing. Like, they have actual Facebook. It's an actual map. It's actually Skype.
Yeah, that was really... Like, YouTube seems like the thing anybody can get away with because YouTube's almost become like a verb, right?
Yeah.
It's just like...
Same with Google.
When you're uploading video to the internet, you're not Vemoing, you're not Daily Motioning, you're YouTubing. It's just become the go-to. It's the Kleenex of video streaming on the internet. And so that was the only one where I was like, of course it's actually YouTube. The fact that Facebook let themselves be put on this movie was really shocking to me.
That's fair.
If anything was gonna fight back against this one, I thought it would be Facebook. And I don't know what the kids today are using. Like, I was doing the casting for that Green Lantern audio drama, and so I went over to this website, and, like, people were like, I used to have a Skype, but since no one uses that anymore, I'm on Discord. I was like, wait, what? I totally missed the boat on this one. So, yeah, to your point. Yeah, do you know what Discord is? Because I didn't know what Discord was.
No, I remember. Discord's a thing, and apparently this movie had its own instant messenger that they released when it was coming out.
Mm.
So that's interesting.
Okay. I don't know, it's just like, I found that stuff kind of funny. I was like, okay, yeah. So this part's believable, this part's believable. I don't know, like, this is so, like, to me, high school doesn't feel like that long ago, but then when I see just the way that these kids are interacting in this movie, it makes it feel like a lot longer. Because, like, okay, I talked to my girlfriends in my bedroom at night on the phone.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we got up to some stuff that teenagers probably shouldn't be doing.
Sure.
God, I would have killed for a webcam in those days. You have no... I would have killed at least 17 people for a goddamn webcam in those days. But it just wasn't that popular yet. Like, to have your own computer was still kind of a big thing as a teenager.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's not that long ago. It's only like 10 to 15 years at this point, give or take. But man, that was a shocking thing to me. It's like, oh yeah, of course kids are doing that these days.
Well, yeah, and they very much have drama that's specific to being teenagers. I guess this is one of the bigger problems with the whole Never Have I Ever game, where like the shit these kids are doing at some point just becomes completely far removed from the cyberbullying thing.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a huge issue. But like, and we've mentioned this in part, but like when we stop knowing these people through their internet personality or their internet presentation, the movie is moving away from its own premise. And it's not to say that we can't learn of that through that premise. It's that it never bridges those two gaps of like, that dude has to artificially bring up the whole got a girl roofied, raped her, impregnated and forced her to have an abortion thing. And it's got nothing to do with, it's not delivered in any way whatsoever that's natural to having the Skype conversation in this moment and watching it through the Skype conversation.
Definitely. And like, I mean, you could have proved that they were all really shitty people without taking it that far, right? Like,
absolutely. And they were shitty people from the start.
Yeah, what if it was just all connected to Lauren, right?
Yeah.
Lauren? Yeah. Like,
Laura,
okay.
Laura, something like that.
Whatever it is. Like, Adam didn't have to be a fucking date rapist. What if Adam fed Laura laxatives?
Yeah.
That night? Like, that's all you need. It's just all these different things. Like, what if this person did this thing? What if this person... Like, what if Jesse, gave her the beer... Or was the one forcing her to keep getting drunk and pass out?
Yeah.
There's just so many things. I'm like, why is this this way? And then there's like the video that gets shared of Laura like calling people out for their fake accounts, and that's different.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's weirdly put in there, because we talked about how like Mitch's, that particular version of messaging back and forth with Mitch seems really off, where I'm not completely sure if it is Mitch at any given time.
Yeah. And
like, so that video coming from that account, I'm like, okay, that has to be Mitch, but why is it coming up here? And it's just oddly placed.
It is. And I mean, I will give them, though, Blair's messaging all the way through is very authentic and consistent.
Yeah, it has typos in believable ways and stuff like that. I like that.
Yeah, the whole kind of like type 3 or 4 things before you settle on what to send kind of thing. She feels like she's typing on a computer. I'll give her that much for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff about this movie. It's. I feel like I'd probably show this to a few people at the very least, and we'll have talks about it. It's not an awful horror movie by any stretch. It's just not a very good one, and there's a lot of potential here. And I've noticed that just in this conversation, some of the stuff that we don't like about this, they've improved on, but taken again too far to the other side, where like 13 Reasons Why, and like what you mentioned about everyone being connected to the person that commits suicide, that's all there, except there's way too much of it that's interconnected. They needed to dial that back. So like, we're getting there. We're just not there yet.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, you need more stuff that talks about suicide, because part of the reason people do go through with that is because they feel like they're the only ones a lot of the time. And so you need something to just address, hey, there are other people that feel this way, to the point where, oh my God, here's this piece of fiction that perfectly described exactly how I'm feeling right now. Yeah. So I know for a fact I'm not alone on this one.
Yeah.
And
Particularly... Sorry, go ahead.
And if they could get through it, so can I.
Yeah, and particularly in relation to, like, making it feel legitimate or authentic that this stuff happens over the internet, specifically. That having a conversation on the internet with someone that's being excessively violent towards you can make you contemplate these same things as if they were literally sitting in the room next to you, because in a way they are.
Yeah. That's a really great point. And, like, you know, I just want to fucking beat the shit out of people who say things like, cyberbullying isn't a thing, you're on the computer, turn it off. I'm like, no, you fucking ass. Ugh.
I mean, like, in a lot of ways, they don't seem to realize how much it connects to, like, if I said someone was being shitty to you at work and say, well, just turn work off.
No, just quit your job.
Yeah, just quit your job. Like, no, you can't do that. How you experience and engage in the world is tied to talking to these types of people. And guess what? It sucks.
Yep. It's an interesting... If nothing else, this movie gives you an interesting conversation.
I agree. It's a really, really interesting failure. And I wouldn't even call it all the way a failure. It's just a really interesting experiment that didn't work.
Yeah, I think it is a failed experiment. But I think they touched on a lot of stuff here, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, when we first decided to talk about this, I was ready to give it like a 1. I know I'm higher than that right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't want to say I like it, but I enjoyed watching it. Like, it kind of sucked me in at a point, even when I realized it was going downhill. Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm having with it. Where, like, I'm really glad that you chose this, actually, because I feel like it makes for a really interesting discussion piece to review.
Yeah. It's a good way to open Horror Movie Month, I think.
I think so, too. And not in a way that's like, God, this was a horrible movie to watch.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm sure we'll have those, but for now.
Yeah, for now. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go on to ratings then. Let me find out where you are on it.
I'm gonna give it... It's kind of tough. I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5 curling irons in the mouth.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it is doing just enough well to get an average for me, even though I don't think it's very good overall. So yeah, this is worth taking at least one watch through and just to noodle about, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5. Hidden webcams that are right behind you right now. Just go looking.
Kind of paranoid now, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I was so ready to make a bunch of there's someone in the Skype call jokes tonight, but it didn't turn out that way.
No. It knew what it was getting into.
Okay, cool. So next week we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite horror films.
Ooh.
American Psycho.
Oh, shit. We haven't reviewed that yet?
No, we've never reviewed American Psycho.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk American Psycho.
Right? Alright, cool. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Exile.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.
Ah!